Gormagut, Arish, Lascion Corla. Look, I'll be brief as well because I'm just conscious that I'm sharing my last 3 minutes as well with Deputy Duffy. So, Minister, I'll just make 3 or 4 brief points and I'll leave the remainder of my time for you. First of all, I think we need to welcome the homelessness figures that have been released recently. Obviously, it's not enough. There's still far too many families and individuals in homeless accommodation and in emergency accommodation. But since this Minister has taken office, nearly 2,000 people, there's been a reduction of nearly 2,000 in homelessness figures, which is very welcome. Can I also commend the Minister on his Voids programme, which delivered nearly 600 houses in Cork City and County in 2020. I suppose my first question, Minister, is just in relation to that. Do you envisage that scheme will be rolled out again in 2022? My next question then is regards to wind energy guidelines in County Cork, where there's currently a number of planning applications at present in relation to wind turbines. And I'm just looking for clarity on an update into those guidelines. The draft guidelines were in 2017 and we're still waiting for the publication of the final draft or the final guidelines, so just an update on that. Next, I'd just like to go on to, as Deputy Bruton mentioned, I'd just like to mention again, we're currently experiencing, going through our development plan review in both Cork County and City. And the one thing I suppose I will agree with members of the opposition on is that we need to be ambitious in those development plans. And I suppose from my own time on Cork County Council, we would have often spoken about active land management and how that needs to be incorporated into our strategy. And I suppose we need to set ambitious targets. And I suppose in my own experience, we would often see that land might be zoned for a particularly lengthy period of time, often a couple of decades before it comes to the point of development. And I would just ask that the Minister would consider talking to local authorities and I suppose implementing that active land management strategy effectively. If people are sitting and hoarding land or sitting and waiting for land to appreciate, I think we need to entertain the prospect of possibly dezoning that land and looking elsewhere and zoning land that is available for development. It might not be popular to say, but I think it's far more proactive and it will be beneficial in the long term. Just finally, my last point will deal with I know that the Minister is undertaking a review, I think, of the HAP scheme. And I was just wondering, is there any update on that, or is there any intention to undertake that review? And also, if he has any information in relation to a tenant purchase scheme, any new scheme in that regard also. Thank you.
Minister, just undertake all of those questions.
I can come in very briefly, and I'm going to, in relation to a Voids programme for 2021, it is my intention with colleagues to roll out another Voids programme. We brought back in over 3,600 units in 2020 very successfully. We have allocations for this year, and particularly with the construction shutdown, it may be that we would put more into that. I'm going to let Minister Burkwell answer in relation to wind energy guidelines, active land management. I agree with you with regard to tenant purchase scheme. The HAP review in relation to certain anomalies around HAP limits is underway, is not concluded yet. I've referred to it in questions in the Dáil just before Christmas last Count Corla.
Minister Burke. Just over a minute.
Thank you, Cahirlock. First of all, we're working through the submissions that came in from the public consultation on the wind energy guidelines. We're working with Minister Ryan's department. There was over 500 submissions. Some of them have been very technical in nature. It was aimed to have a draft before Christmas. That wasn't possible, but we're still working through it, and hopefully it will be published shortly.